damage or whatever it is. They can pick what they need to adjust to whatever curveball is coming here from Obscured.
And I think there are a suite of heroes that I would expect for the ranged DPS player on Divine 9. That would be Le Jason. In that sort of book of heroes, Jaina, Li Ming, Lunara. The Luna interests me a little bit here. Although, there's the Zera. Okay, so Zera Blaze. Obviously, this is main tankless, if you will.
Right.
In the 3 games that they played Varian, was it taunt all 3 times?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was one of the things I was thinking. I'm like, in this comp, do they need the damage or we see smash? But no, it was taunt, each one.
Okay.
And it was basically just kind of holding them in this like just cluster of melees as everyone wails on.
Oh my god! But again, there's room here. I mean, if they go with another melee, again, Thrall is just a fantastic pick here. Whenever you want to run something like all melee, like you pick Thrall, and yes, he's melee, but he's sort of in between, and both of his heroics work incredibly well with just death balls.
Well, and what they showed with their all melee comp in that game 3 is anytime Team Showboat lost a team fight, they could never retreat. Earthquake, slows from Zeratul, slows from Leoric, slows. They could just never get away. Lunara, so they're turning into this melee here. Triple melee for Divine 9. So.
Oh. Sorry, Mongoose, you cut out there. That could be me. We are still connected, so I'm going to assume everything is okay. I'm sure we'll get Mongoose back shortly. In fact, I can hear the fuzz in the background. Just a little hiccup there, it seems like.
Can we hear me now?
I actually just lost OBS.
Ah. Well, that's rip.
We're going to start recording. We'll keep going with this.
Can you hear me at all, Provo?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Great. Well, wonderfully, actually.
Okay. So, let's do this. Attempting to reconnect. Attempt 1. All right. So, OBS DC. We are going to... like I said, I turned the record on right now. So, it is Thrall for the last pick. OBS attempting to reconnect. All right. I'm going to let teams know we're going to start with a pause. OBS DC. Internet's still good. So we will pause the game. I'm going to let everybody know. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Reconnecting. Interesting. Could be a cartography thing. I'm just kidding. Actually, I should give a shout out. This actually gives me a second to give a shout out to the man behind the scenes. Philindrith is actually running as the producer for us. He just graciously accepted this role. And tonight I am running cartography. We're playing around a little bit. So as you can tell, some things have been different. I mean, this is a fantastic system, and I just absolutely love the production value. I spoke with Seventh Ace before this. Definitely wanted to get this going for tonight. Okay, so Jason will pause. Everything looks good. Make sure we've got our connections. Hey, sorry, we had one go AFK. No prob. This will not count against either team's time banks. I guess this would count against my time bank. I don't know how we're going to punish. Odd bit of interplay there. But all right, so let's just turn the focus back on this game. We talked a little bit about it, but now we have Alarak Lunara. Interesting combo. They added a lot of blow-up potential.
For sure.
With Phantoms on that Alarak. He has Phantoms has been playing really 3 heroes throughout this season, more than others, and that really would be Maya of Kerrigan Alarak. So he's on a comfort pick. This is not a panic snap Alarak. Because sometimes you do see that where teams will go, all right, let's pick Alarak, see if we can just use the silence to get a bunch of kills. This is a good player on a hero that they are comfortable with. Let's just check in and make sure that Obscured is R.
And with the comp that Obscured is rolling out, he will have a chance to get his triple silence quest pretty quickly if the opportunity presents itself as well.
On the other side, I mean, what do you think about? I mean, they're kind of using 2 tanks, right?
Yeah, I mean, Blaze is, in the meta right now, traditionally is the off lane solo laner.
Yep.
But he can fake it as a main tank. It's not something he's bad at. It's just teams tend to use it more in the other role. So I think this is fine.
All right. On the side of Divine Nine, Jason will be playing Lunara, Phantom's on the Alarak, Rabid Penguin will be on the ETC, and Judge Bread will be there in the Malfurion. We'll take a quick pop in. Siege, as always, is playing on the Sonya.
And Obscured, Mumu back on Blaze, Ants Anson on his patented Leoric, Unicorn King on Deckard Cain, Garandolf on Zeratul, and I got Itches on Thrall.
All right. So, Mumu and Siege will begin the eternal battle there up in the top lane. Garandolf he's just been living on that point. I think he's just been trying to get somebody's attention. He just wanted somebody to come say hi. Big hit by Phantoms on Anzan Sin. But Leoric actually is one of the better matchups in Alarak because of the constant healing. He just doesn't care. Garandolf now being pressured a little bit there. There's the slide onto Mumu, who still has jet propulsion. Should be a safe passive early game. I really don't see the fireworks flying until at least 10.
And I really like the adjustment to front by Divine Nine to kind of go less into the traditional comps they run into a triple front line, which is not something we've seen from them more. That might be able to hold back the Blaze, Thrall, Yorick train better, but Garandolf in trouble. Will the poison get it? But no.
Great play by Jason there. Luna always good against stealth heroes, but Unicorn King on the Deckard Cain providing a little bit of healing underneath the wall. Siege will pick up the top giant camp, but it is a top objective, so the advantage will not be on the side of Divine Nine. Both teams, again, just trading waves. Everybody pretty even in terms of XP. Another big silence there by Phantoms.
Yeah, I have a feeling at least once this game, you're going to see a huge combo out of Alarak into a melee-heavy team. And don't be surprised if that's the kind of moment where, the game turns. It could easily happen.
So I also don't think we're going out on a limb to say that we're going to see the mosh pit.
Yes, I would think so.
Do you think Leaping Strike or Thornwood, given that this is dive?
If it were me, I would go Strike for the mobility. You can get away from the Zeratul a little bit easier. So that would be my pick.
Okay. I've been told by a smart bird and a much better player than me that if you're playing competitive, you always pick Thornwood Vine.
I've heard that too.
But this is a lot of melee, and they're going to come get you. Here comes the face melt from ETC. Rabid Penguin is there, gets a little bit of lockdown, but not quite enough. The roots actually miss. Garandolf is on the back line. He's going to find a target there. Sonya goes down, so didn't even need Zeratul to get Siege. And the tribute is up. Phantoms is in the bottom lane having to deal with camp pressure.
That kill went to the minions, but that was all Unicorn King with a massive seal of scrolling, walking in 3 underneath the towers.
Garandolf takes a good bit of poison damage, but Leo is going to be able to zone away there. I have not seen how Deckard works into Lunara, and that's going to be very interesting.
I would think he would do well. She pokes, and you can have the potions underneath you. You don't need to extend to get the healing onto those who are being damaged. That's just kind of paper theory crafting.
But you do get these sort of panicky moments where you're low, you're just totally out of health.
Yeah, that's true too.
And it's just not a point and click heal. So there's always a possibility that someone makes a misstep, misses a potion, and goes down. Again, there's always anytime you have a Lunara spreading damage throughout your team, it's very easy to lose track of people whose health bars are just rapidly depleting. Those ticks are absolutely huge.
Going back to the Thornwood Vine Leaping Strike thing, the advantage to the Thornwood Vine is going to be if, Phantoms lands that big combo and pulls everyone in there, you're going to get everybody in that Thornwood Vine. You're going to get a ton of value out of that.
Looks like we will have a 5-on-5 here. Siege on that Sonya has yet again picked up a camp before this tribute. This is a more defensive position here for Divine Nine, and they will have mid-camp pushing. Ansansin looking for the back line. This is an envelope maneuver, if you will, by Obscured. The Leo is in deep, hits the spooky hand. Judge Brad being pressured out. The CC from Kane catches members, including Malfurion, and he goes down. Zeratul will trade out. Rabbit Penguin is deep and trying to find some peel. Ansansin looking to get a kill trade out. Misses spooky hand. Mumu is there, and here comes I Got Stitches with Thrall. Jason has just been able to put out a ton of damage. Thrall about to go down. Pinched between Sonya and Alarak. Ansansin spooky hand is out. Doesn't have enough for ETC. It looks like both Blaze and Leoric are next. And Deckard Cain makes an ace.
You know, hats off to Divine Nine. That's not their style of team fight that they've thrived in. But so far, early adjustments are good. Typically, they've been the execute somebody and move on with the game kind of a thing. But that was long, dragged out all over the place, and they handled it really well.
Too much chase. After the Malfurion kill, it's a death ball, so I know you just want to keep going forward, but I think actually if Obscured had backed off, they would have been in a good position there. I think Divine Nine gets this boss for nothing. Nope. Oh, I Got Stitches is here. Can't get on the point, can only say hi. Early boss.
And with enough time to contest if they want.
Oh,
Thrall in trouble.
That's all going to be a lot of slow. The silence comes out. Phantoms is going to wind up actually securing this kill on Thrall, I think.
No.
Get out of town. Nope, there's the poison. There's the boss stun. Okay. Took a little while. But the War Chief has fallen. And Divine Nine will now be picking up their second tribute.
You know, in that team fight we touched on earlier in the top lane that Divine Nine won, in the early part of that, Zeratul went straight on to the back line of Divine Nine. I believe he picked up, was it Malfurion he picked up back there?
Yeah, the Malfurion went down real fast because caught inside the Kane scroll of sealing.
But, you know, the difference between this game and the game 3 versus Team Showboat only had 2 frontliners. If Zeratul shows in the back line like that, between a Sonya, an ETC, and an Alarak, and he gets silenced, he's not getting out. And you saw it. Even though he got the mouth, Zera went down almost instantaneously afterward. This
is a level and a half lead here for Divine Nine. Thornwood Vine, so it does go with, I guess you could say, the more competitive pick, if you will. Yeah. Wrath, as well as Mosh Pit, Counter-Strike, but Malfurion holding. Which I think is a good move, to be quite honest.
Does go Dream.
Okay.
You know, the more I think about that Thornwood Vine, the more I like it. You have confidence in 3 frontliners to protect you, and also the ability of Phantoms to set up big combos for you.
Absolutely. Now you do get to see... Oh, looks like Mongoose do see there a little bit. I'm sure we'll get him back into the game. Maybe Hot's having a little bit of struggle there. So now the curse is up. Phantoms misses the jet propulsion there on Mumu. Unicorn King is there to support with Deckard Cain, but this top fort is already gone. And now Divine Nine will skip the boss. And they're going to work on mid. Alright, so I'm sure we'll get Mongoose back in shortly. A level and a half lead. Mid fort looks like it is the next one that is about to be targeted. Divine Nine barreling down the mid lane. A big issue in this game for Obscured is that Gyarados on that Zeratul has just been found out and cannot get back away from Divine Nine, especially with the Lunara poison. That's been a huge issue for Gyarados. He's just not able to get those sort of repeat engagements. You check the Zeratul build. It is Q build Zera with Seeker at 7. Did not go Wormhole. Teams will trade camps. Siege is... Alright, Leoric winds up getting picked. So Siege for Divine Nine will wind up picking up mid camp for D9. Obscured will pick up their mid as well. And with that kill onto Leoric, Divine Nine now will posture over bottom fort. This will be the last fort for the side of Obscured. That level and a half lead has wavered, dropped down to 1 level, now starting to pick up again. Obscured, though, with a heads-up play, they see Divine 9 in the bottom lane, and they will move to pick up their boss. However, without a main tank, this is a bit of a struggle. Garandolf on that Zeratul taking a fair bit of damage. Actually, winds up getting rooted. I don't think Divine 9 gets here in time, but they may be able to find a chase kill. In fact, I got Stitches ripped sunder, gave the position away. ETC comes in. There's the mosh pit. The boss stun will actually knock ETC out of it, but 2 kills look like they are likely to be secured. I got Stitches is low, 200 hit points. Getting healed back up by Decker King goes down. Okay, so Blaze Bunker was there. Blocks off a lot of the path in, but cannot keep either Thrall or Blaze alive. So Divine 9, unable to make it up for the boss invade, but do pick up 2 kills. And this boss is not going to get a whole lot. In fact, it doesn't even finish top wall. 10-minute boss. Traded for 2 kills. Mongoose, do we have you back, sir?
I am back.
Hey! Alright. So we welcome Mongoose back to the game. Divine 9 has a almost 2-level lead. Obscured looking for their second tribute here. This is going to be probably the last opportunity I have to fight on an even talent tier for a few minutes, I'd have to imagine.
And they have the advantage in heroics with so many on cooldown for Divine 9. This is a good opportunity for Obscured to kind of make a little stand here.
Good position by Phantoms there. Is just trying to sort of snake out Garandolf on that Zeratul. In fact, Seeker misses. Now the fight resets. 30 seconds away from Mosh. Everything else is off. Cooldown. An early sundering by Stitches. Hits 3 members, but there's no follow-up. That's the second, I guess you could kind of say early sundering. Rabid Penguin actually uses Power Slide to try to catch Zeratul. Yet another reset. Obscured are having trouble finding a target. I don't think they know who they can kill quickly.
Well, looks like Divine 9 is as well, but part of that is they're waiting for Mosh Pit to come up, so I think a little bit of a lost opportunity there for Obscured. Zeratul in trouble. Rabid Penguin got him with the toe on the power slide. It was just enough.
Only took ETC and Alarak to take out Zeratul, and there's another big silence. Again, we talked about this is a comfort pick for Phantoms. Knows how to play Alarak, has shown up. As Phantoms has, to be quite honest, in every single game in these postseason. Rabid Penguin finds Thrall. I got Stitches now. We'll have to eat the CC combo from ETC. Actually gets pulled back and is gone. The follow-up on the combo from Alarak.
Really nice adjustment in play from Divine 9. You know, I said I think that they're going to turn it around in Game 2. Kind of made a nice pivot in that they didn't leave behind what got them here, but made some kind of small adjustments within what they like to do, and it's paying off dividends big time.
When they approach level 16, they should be able to pick up this tribute potentially for free, but actually maybe Obscure thinking about trying to pick up this fight before 16. A lot of this has just been on the Alarak selection itself. Again, this is a team that loves to play Kerrigan and Maya. Those are offensive heroes, but that Alarak allows them to just let the fight come to them. They are sitting, waiting, and patiently finding Zeratul. And if Zeratul cannot get the engagement and the big Q cleave hit, I don't know how Obscured wins a team fight right now.
Yeah, Zeratul trying to dive into ETC Alarak is really a tough thing to do. And with Garandorf on Zeratul, you know, kind of contained just by the nature of this comp, Obscured really having a hard time finding their footing.
It's been a tough game for them, and I wish they actually picked the Varian, to be honest with you. I would have liked them to go all in, because again, they're having trouble getting onto the backline and finding kills. Alright, so Divine 9 can now play patiently. They have the 16 advantage, but they do not use it for an invade. Instead, they will comfortably grab a few of their camps. We'll take a peek at their 16s right here. Again, everything in these builds has been fairly standard. This is the big one here. The Spike, unfair advantage, 16 on Lunara. Poison, poison, poison.
I mean, really tough decisions here from Obscured. I don't think they're going to have 16 before the trib pops, and they still have this boss to finish off. You can't give this trib away for free, though. They're going to arrive late. They're going to be trickling in. They're probably going to be down a talent tier.
This is game. This is game for Obscured because I see Garandolf on that Zeratul maybe poking that camp. I was about to say, if you give up Curse and a mid camp is pushing, you've lost the team fight. This is game over. They need to make a big play there. They're sundering. It actually get no. It didn't get the delay. It was too short. Unseen on the back line. That should be a big wrath. But at the same time, Phantom just finishes off 2 kills. Blaze and Thrall are gone. The mosh pit zoning and catching at the same time. Garandolf gone. Zera's out. Unicorn King is not long for this world. Maybe.
I think you run it up the middle and try to go core here.
This looks like game. It's 2 keeps at minimum with the camps that are pushing. There's another big combo. Deckard Kane gone. Unseen, if they want him, will go down. But Divine Nine now turns their attention towards mid. They can just run it down and end this game. It's been a frustrating one for Obscured.
Just as I'm sure game 1 was a frustrating one for Divine Nine. Returning the favor.
I mean, we're headed to game 3. Again, this has been 2 odd comps by Obscured. In the first game, they had a calculated and incredibly good draft. I absolutely congratulate them on what they did there. But in game 2, it looks like they've just been outclassed. In particular, the backline combo, Alarek and Lunara, has been wildly effective. Game number 2 goes the way of Divine Nine.
Yeah, the Alarak selection in particular was really intelligent. It just completely took Zeratul out of his ability to jump on the back line. As a result, Jason had plenty of room to operate, do his thing. He was really never under any pressure. And it showed. Alarak on Phantom, 6 kills, top damage in the game. And look at the damage difference, almost double the damage of anybody on the side of Obscured. This is going to be a really interesting draft in Game 3. See what these teams prioritize in the way of bans and draft picks.
The adjustment now is actually on Obscured. They are going to go ahead and have to make, again, the counter to the counter. They had a fantastic Cho'Gall Samuro that fit very well into the draft and into what they saw from their opponents in game number 1. And we talked about it in game number 2 in the draft in particular. We wanted to see Divine Nine change up the order. And even though they did pick the Sonya first, which has just been their sort of motto, it was a smart play at the end to go with the Alarek Lunar at the end of that draft.
Yeah, really. And they kind of did a pseudo version of what you suggested in the draft. You suggested letting Sonya go later and leaving flexibility in their draft. They actually managed to do both. They first picked their comfort pick, Sonya, and still allowed themselves the flexibility to adjust in the latter part of the draft as well.
And that's going to be exactly what they certainly need to do here in game number 3, because they will be on the back foot, given the draft that Obscured has shown. All right, I got a new friend request. Hey, Moo. All right, buddy. Because he was trying to, I actually have it set to not accept whispers from non-friends. That should kind of tell you how some of my games go.
We've all got those stories.
Yeah. So we'll find out and get our lobby set up for game number 2. Divine Nine has asked for a 5-minute break. We're going to go ahead and certainly grant that. Obscure trying to figure out where they want to go.
You know, everything we said in game 1 about how Divine Nine kind of had some overlapping and conflicting timings on the heroics, and Obscured was on point. You flip that analysis for game 2. Divine Nine was really on point with all of their heroics. Nothing overlapped. Obscured didn't quite have that same level of timing and efficiency that they had in game 1. Combined with a more even draft, really put Divine Nine in a good spot.
Game number 3. The map was chosen by Obscured. Where do you think we're headed?
Volskaya Foundry.
Towers of Doom.
Oh, great game 3 map.
Oh boy, Towers is a map that I absolutely adore. Again, it's another map that can be played in a number of different ways. Did we lose the Skype call, by the way? No, we got it back there. Hey, let's get Mongoose back in. There we go. So Towers is something that Obscured has played many times here in the postseason, and again, I believe it's a map that they've been pretty successful on. We'll check the numbers in a little bit, but tell us about what Obscured did here on Towers in their last set against Team Showboat.
this was the game 3 versus game Showboat Team Showboat where they last picked the Zeratul, and Garandov just ran roughshod over the back line of Team Showboat. They had no answer for him. However, Divine Nine has seen that. They already have found the answer in 3 frontliners to protect their solo backline. Team Showboat did not have that. And he just, I mean, he even Yawner said after the game that Zera just wrecked us in game 3. And it was on Towers of Doom where it happened. So they've already kind of tipped that hand last game, though. So I wonder, do they have one last ace up their sleeve?
It's probably going to be some sort of macro pressure. I would expect something, and Abathur will likely be banned out as well. I think actually Samuro could pop back in here. I know that seems kind of odd, but I feel like the recipe here in game number 3 for Obscured has to rely on more patience in the early game because they were too aggressive and they actually wound up getting picked. What was it, like 15-2 in terms of kills at the end of that game?
Yeah, it was pretty one-sided.
Right. They need the patience that they had in game 1. Cho'Gall is actually back and possible. So Divine Nine needs to actually think about throwing a ban out there in the secondary ban phase. I don't know if they have a Vikings player. I don't know if this could be like New Zagara, but something that's something that's going to provide macro pressure and throw Divine Nine off of their game. Don't know what that is, but there's a lot of options here. There
are, and I don't really know what to expect, to be honest. And one of the great things about Towers of Doom is, pretty much all the other maps in the game, if the game is close throughout and you win that post-20 fight, you march to the core and you win the game. Towers, you can't really do that. I mean, there are things you can do to leverage that 20, knock down a couple structures or whatever, but you can't just march to the core and win. And it means games on Towers of Doom are never really over.
No, and Divine Nine tends to not draft a lot of wave clear or siege damage. I mean, that happens naturally when you take a lot of mages. You don't have an auto attacker that's going to be able to just whittle a building down. So it's a map that they can certainly play because it plays to their slow style. But again, if macro pressure can be picked up here by Obscured, does a standard draft here by Divine Nine actually work against them on towers? Jaina Maiev is not going to get buildings back.
That's true. And, I don't want to see Obscured go standard because it's just not what they've shown. You said yourself early in the season, they played Divine Nine standard. It didn't work. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't, from the impression I got of you, wasn't real close either.
They were like okay games. In that it wasn't like Obscured was completely outclassed and just taken out, but they struggled to find the right team fight, and it was sort of textbook Divine Nine. They took no kills. When they needed to find something, they're that same team that's explosive, quick damage, usually going to follow up with a big piece of CC that is critically going to guarantee them 2 kills, and good use of heroics. I mean, those are the hallmarks of Divine Nine, and that's everything that we didn't see in Game 1 and everything we did in Game 2.
And we talked about the patience that Obscured needs. It's much easier to show that patience in like a Game 1 where you get to about a third to halfway through that game. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty clear you have the compositional advantage, you're controlling the game. It's much easier to stay calm and stay patient and wait for your moment than in a game like Game 2 where it was the flip of that. They seemed like that they were on the backside of that. And it's much harder to stay patient in those moments. So I want to see if Obscured can show that patience when things aren't necessarily going their way. We haven't really seen that yet tonight.
All right. Teams are in lobby. Towers of Doom has been queued up. This was the choice of... Oh, and it looks... Can we get on Sunsin back in the game? Hey, there he is. So Obscured went with map pick, chose Towers. At Murda. Yeah, dog, this is my HHE shirt. If we can just pop it up a little bit. Oh, I love it. It's my official caster shirt, at least until we get that NGS swag. All right.
We need it. We need the MGS swag.
Damn right we do. I got to have a shirt when I cast. And it better say NGS on it. Jason and Divine Nine are ready. We await word from Mumu and Obscured. All right, Game 3. This is NGS Season 4. We are now in the Division B West Finals. Game number 3. So if you are just joining us here, game number 1 was played on Infernal Shrines. In that matchup, Obscured won behind a Cho'Gall Samuro bit of chicanery, if you will. Game number 2, we went to Cursed Hollow. A defensive comp was chosen by Divine Nine, and it played out very well, led by Phantoms on the Alarak and Jason on that Lunara. And here we are, headed to Game 3 on Towers. Let's see if we get everybody's in the lobby. Again, waiting for the R. And once again, a shout out to Valindrath hanging out in the back, doing the production work, getting us through that quick at DC. OBS, WTF, mate. Valindrath's giving us a thumbs up in the lobby.
Doing all the hard work and letting us get all the glory.
But a fantastic observer. I apologize. We had a little bit of camera bobble there just because. So if people don't really know, when you jump in to a cast, you can just auto follow a spectator. But if you move your mouse at all, you just lose that camera follow for a hot second. So if all of a sudden I start darting around all over the place, I probably just nicked my mouse with my hand because I thought that I was in control. All right. Garandolf gives us the thumbs up. Draft is incoming, game number 3. Saw a Twitch comment about camera. Yeah, somebody called me out for that. Drunken camera. Fact. Let's go. Headed to draft, boys. Before we even get into this draft, let's make a prediction. What are you feeling?
Whew, I think we're gonna see Divine Nine take it. That game 1 I think was definitely a little a curveball win and well played by Obscured, but Divine Nine hasn't been dominated yet this season. No team has done it yet. Now there's a first time for everything, but I think Divine Nine's going to put it away and advance to the grand finals.
The Abathur ban comes out as again expected and quite frankly recommended. They banned Abathur in all 3 games. And on the flip side, I would certainly like to see a comfort pick taken away.
Is it going to be Kerrigan again? I mean, if you were to hazard a guess, would you say every playoff game so far Divine Nine has had Kerrigan banned out again?
Oh, it might not be every one of them, but it's more than half. I kind of want to see the ETC ban.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
It depends on what kind of draft Obscure has, or if they're just kind of winging it. All right, they do take the Kerrigan ban away. Just the reason I just like seeing ETC is that if you're going with, a macro pressure comp, you're going with something a little wonky, Mosh Pit just ruins your day. Oh, look, a Sonya first pick. Did anybody see that one coming?
I'm shocked. All of these drafts we almost could have just started at this point.
Why does Siege even? Yeah, why does he even join? Can we just have a 9-man draft? We could have shaved a little bit of time off. He could have looked at some skins, maybe gotten a little bit of work in there, get the APM warmed up. Sonya, and Sonya. 40 seconds left here for Obscured for their first 2 selections.
We haven't touched on yet. I'm pretty sure Divine Nine is still undefeated on Uther this season.
No, they took a loss. No,
they take one finally.
They got okay. Leoric and ETC. So apparently the drafts are always just going to play out boring. Yeah, they took 1 loss.
So they prioritized their Leoric and maybe a soft kind of denial in taking ETC away from Divine Nine there. In addition to ETC is just good.
It's ETC, but it's a main tank. So where's Obscured going with this?
I mean, they're obviously going to draft 3 more tanks with no support.
Game on. 30 seconds here for Divine Nine to answer. If we were keeping with what they have done previously, they're definitely going to take a support here. They do like the Kayn. They like Malfurion as well. Remember, they do not play Admiral Stukov. That is just not in their repertoire. Linehouse in chat. Too bad Rag Lava Wave was fixed. That was some hella high level strat. that was one of the funnier bugs I've seen in a while.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing. It was hilarious, if not anything else.
It was just an interesting thing to look at. Johanna and Malfurion are picked up here by Divine Nine. Malfurion, a little expected. Johanna, a defensive tank and good protection against what ATC will want to do.
Yeah, and if my memory serves me right, I'm checking right now. That is also a comfort pick for Divine Nine. Other than ETC, I believe Johanna, their next most played main tank.
I mean, they don't really have one, and it might be Johanna by fault. Like in the regular season, this was Divine Nine. You could write a book about all the weird stats, just because this is a team that I saw quite a bit. So one of their odd stats is that they only played one tank more than once for the entire season. That was like at least nine games on ETC. Everything else was just one and done. So their only repeat tanks have been in spots here in the playoffs where ETC was taken away from them.
Now I have the stats in front of me. Regular season, Divine Nine, 13 games on ETC. Next most main tank, Johanna, with 2.
And that's one regular season, one playoffs. They banned the Zeratul away, by the way. Okay. Garandolf just had enough. He doesn't want to do that anymore.
Interesting.
Targeting Phantoms a little bit. Again, Phantoms does play the Zeratul as well. Plays all of those StarCraft melee sort of flex heroes. Ember says hi, Twitch. Twitch, say hi to Ember. I'm okay with the no Cho'Gall, but the Zeratul ban seemed, again,
odd.
Yeah, what is there like a super squishy hero we plan on bringing out here that Zeratul does well against?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm curious to see where that goes. Divine Nine sticking with their kind of revised draft strategy from last game, though, getting the front line and support and leaving their back line to flex into what Obscured does. And I like that. That worked out well for them last time, and I think it's going to allow them to adjust to anything wonky that Obscured throws their way.
Just getting rid of the Cho'Gall as well. It's not a bad map for Cho'Gall. Much better than Cursed, in my opinion. 15 seconds left here for the third and fourth selections by Obscured.
Stukov Jaina. This is about as standard as we've seen coming out of Obscured over here.
It's downright boring. That's what it is. Listen, chat's not going to like this. Okay. So, what's intriguing here is they get rid of Kerrigan and Zeratul, so the Jaina is fairly well protected. This does leave Maiev on the board, though.
It does.
And into Stukov, Johanna, Malf, could be Li Ming, could be another Lunara.
Yeah, I mean, Jason did play a lot of Li Ming this year. Divine Nine had a pretty specific hero pool, as I'm sure people have seen us talking about them. They have a set of heroes that they work with, and they work with them very well. And Obscured is the flip side. I actually found an interesting Genji Li Ming double reset comp.
Going old school.
Well, now with a vulnerable backline from Obscured, that makes more sense into more of a traditional Divine Nine comp. When I was looking at the D West statistics and I was looking at overall hero pool, there was a direct correlation between more heroes played lower in the standings. The one exception to that was Obscured, who had the third highest hero pool in Div B West.
Really?
But here in the finals. The team with the highest hero pool in last place and on down the line. It was pretty close.
Yeah. So Obscured had a bit of a roller coaster season. Early in the season they were in second place, and in fact when I caught these teams earlier when I caught these teams early in the season, Obscured was 8th. Were they second? I got to go back and find that picture, by the way. So Obscured started the season off, I believe, strongly. We're going to go ahead and peek. Jason actually sent me a funny little picture. Yeah, Obscured was second in week 4 or 5 when these teams played, and Divine Nine was 8th. And a lot of that had to do with Divine Nine just not having enough games on the schedule.
Right.
So Obscured went from second, and they dropped all the way down. At one point, they were on the border of the playoff race and wound up in 5th. So roller coaster season, and then they wind up going through team. What is it? Subject to change, as well as Team Showboat in the playoffs, which are two just massive upsets. All right.
Yeah.
Jaina Hanzo is the backline, and it's a standard comp against double resets. I don't know if I like this for Obscured.
I tend to agree. This This comp, these matchups scream Divine 9 comfort.
And it also, I mean, this is Jaina, Hanzo, and Leo, and all three of those heroes are susceptible to the Genji Li Ming combos. All right, well, here we go. On the side of Divine 9. Game number 3, Rabid Penguin will be on the Johanna. Jason will be playing Li Ming. Phantoms on the Genji. Judge Brett on the Malfurion. And, oh, what a surprise, Siege is playing Sonya.
And Team Obscured trying for a third straight upset, advancing to Div B Grand Finals in their sights. Mumu on ETC, Unicorn King on Stukov, Garandov on Hanzo. I got itches on Jaina, and Ens Anson on Leoric.
All right, level 1 talents up on the board. Power hungry for Li Ming. Pretty standard quest talents. We see the Scatter Arrow build for Hanzo. Ping pong action for Genji at level 1. And just like Divine 9 is wont to do, 1-1-3. Malf, Li Ming, and Johanna here in bottom. That's not great siege pressure, you would think, but Li Ming can take down towers almost as fast as anybody if you just let her sit and siege it up.
Now, as much as we talked about stylistically, we don't like the draft from Obscured, they have a really nice Entomb, Ring of Frost, Dragon Arrow, AoE Silence of Stukov, the Lurking Arm setup there, and pretty much anybody they catch in that, if you're on the spot with the silence, is going to go down.
They did, however, go March of the Black King in the last map. Hanzo, Sonya, top lane, and right now, Garandov winning that a little bit. Sonya is one of those heroes that can sometimes be susceptible to just any sort of generic ranged hero, particularly early in the game. It actually takes her a little while before she hits full lane bully status. Teams
she was
just trading waves. Excuse me. Yeah, even on XP. Mongoose, as you were saying, sir.
Say she was at the top of the off lane meta for so long, and they just kind of slowly took down to where, I mean, she's still great, but she is no longer unparalleled queen of the solo lane like she was.
The big change being the swap level 4 Battle Rage move to level 7. So Shot of Fury kind of creeping back in with actually many Sonya players here in the playoffs going with a spin to win build. Mumu with the slide onto Jason there. Still has the teleport, and now Li Ming's on the other side of the cow. A good route there, and I got Stitches winds up eating the orb. Genji is poised to strike, and Phantoms gets the first kill.
I think that is the first kind of prototypical Divine 9 engagement kill that we've seen. Surgical, efficient, all the damage went on to Jaina. Look at the health pools of the other heroes who are around. They're all fine, but Jaina's dead.
And you do have to wonder, about Obscure. They are playing, a double rage comp for the first time. Phantoms is looking to find another kill there with Leo. Should be another auto attack there. Rabid Penguin chasing the flashlight kill from Johanna. So you have to worry about Obscure's mentality in this match, in that they are playing more ranged heroes than they've played in a number of weeks. You could see there, it was an aggressive step forward by that Jaina that eventually resulted in a kill, because Judge Brett threw a fantastic root out by Malfurion, caught the Jaina. Jason follows up with an orb, and Genji is there for the kill.
And all it took was a small step out from Jaina, and they took advantage. And let me tell you, as a tank player, there might not be anything more satisfying than securing a kill with shield glare on Johanna.
Ansan Sin goes down there on the Leoric. 3 kills to none. Obscured almost seems like they ran out of... Well, they literally ran out of gall because it got banned out. And I think they ran out of gall here in this sort of standard draft. And I'm afraid, because I think Phantoms is going to have a field day.
Yeah, I mean...
He's one of Phantoms, and actually, they are one of the best players in Div B. I've done most of my games in this division, and in my opinion, Phantoms has just been the MVP of Divine 9 throughout the season. Just huge plays, and you put this player on a Genji, you give Jason the Li Ming, And he doesn't. And Genji does not have to self-generate those 100 to zeros. That early kill really was the result of a great orb from Li Ming. 3 kills already on the board, 4 obscured.
Yeah, and then you have the Genji, Li Ming actually feeding each other the resets. You know, I agree with you on the Phantoms. They've kind of constructed their team around his ability to do what he does, and props to his team for kind of sticking with that, giving him the opportunity to thrive, and him really taking advantage of the style and the, synergy that they've built up within them, because he just goes crazy when they're locked in on all cylinders.
And Phantoms with the freedom to take down Garandolf. Genji, you killed your brother. That was just mean. 8 seconds on bottom channel here. Divine 9 has a half-level lead, but truth be told, this is a bigger gap than that would imply. It's 4 kills, obscured, struggling a little bit here. They have bottom pushed in. Genji and Leoric are battling over bottom here. Garandolf is in big trouble here. Sneaks away with 200 hit points. Siege can't quite get on the back line. Judge Bread there is looking to cap mid. Ansan Sin actually hits the spooky hand on the Ganjo, so they'll keep that trade up. Mumu will face melt on away.
It was good peels by Mumu to allow Garandolf to escape and tap and re-engage, but there's Phantoms.
There's Phantoms.
That was Phantoms giving Jason the reset. Look at the kills on the left. First kill, Genji.
Yeah.
Second kill, Li Ming.
And
they just fed each other the resets.
The second kill on the Calamity there is we pull our talents up. And then, now it's a 1-level lead. And now we're looking at 36 to 24. The core health already starting to show a considerable gap of 12 shots. Divine 9 in a position that they maybe haven't felt yet in this series. They're sort of free to do whatever it is they want for a considerable amount of time once they pick up these level 10s.
Yeah, I agree. And you could see the Jason and Phantoms were 100% on the same page. I mean, those kills were bam, bam, under the towers for the first one. Genji diving in and then back out and letting Jason finish off his kill with the Calamity. Those guys on the same page, and it shows.
The Phantoms has the cooldowns. He had the deflect there in that situation. Has done a great job. When engaging with Swift Strike, he always has a path out with that cyber agility.
So far, it's kind of pretty much what we thought. Obscured drafting into... There's the DC rip. And actually, Obscured had this problem last week of Game 2. If it's the game I'm thinking of, I've cast it enough to where they might be blurring into each other. Yeah, they have 3 players in Alaska, and apparently the internet there is a little meh.
Far out.
So...
Right on, man. All right, so we'll throw it back to the webcams for a quick minute here. I actually did not know that they were Alaskans. Far out, man. All right, so we'll take a pause break here as we see if the internet can speed its way up the Pacific Coast. They connected real good. Okay, we'll get the countdown back in a second. Okay, so quick flash over to the webcams. We'll get back into the game shortly. Let's go ahead and get our game screen back on. Philindrith, can you take us away? Oh no, I have to. I've got the power. All right, incoming. Let's get the countdown going. 2 and 1, game on. All right, taking a quick peek at where we stand on our questing talents as well as level 10s, and Ansan Sin actually going for the pre-10 invade. All right, buddy.
Yeah, this
Penguin
questionable.
Rips the shield. Genji's got D-Blade out. I got Stitches just trying to get away with Jaina Siege with a fantastic spear. Phantoms at the same time chases down Hanzo. That's fratricide, Ganjo. Can you calm down just a little bit? 2 more kills. Divine 9 are up 8-0. They pick up those kills before Obscured is able to pick up level 10.
That was the patience we were talking about between games. We wanted to see Obscured show that patience when things were not in their favor. And that's kind of Heroes 101. You don't fight 10 into 9, and they showed why. Beautiful re-engage and pursuit by Divine 9 really punished Obscured there.
I believe they thought they could have gotten away with just some poke and then a retreat out from Leo. But a great flank by Rabid Penguin hits the Blessed Shield onto the Yena, and the Ice Queen goes down. So 11 to 10, level and a half lead. Bottom is about half health. But, silver lining for Obscured, they actually wind up picking up their level 10. Stage Dive, Massive Shove, Dragon Arrow, Ring of Frost, and March of the Black King. So they go back to March. In fact, there it is. Ansatsin trying to get out. Phantom's trying to pick up yet another kill. He just doesn't have Wraith Walk, and I don't think he's getting out of there. Jason picks up the kill with the Calamity Strike. Moo now looking for a path to retreat. Roots do not connect. Wow. 9 kills to 0.
So no Mosh Pit, no Entomb. Get the Massive Shove, the Dragon Arrow, and the Ring of Frost for Obscured.
They are down 16 shots on their core.
Over a level deficit.
Have kept bottom, though.
They have.
Again, silver linings, hey. I always think of the panic point here on towers is, once you start getting into single digits, boss actually just is scary. Because you're going to have to make a decision about whether you want to force it or whether you're going to give it up at some point. Divine 9 has level 13. They are going to work on the invaded camp here. Pumpkin Sappers will wind up pushing into this fort. If they go unopposed, they should cap.
Yeah, I think Divine 9's going to capture this bottom fort, and they're going to hold the channel. I wonder if Siege is going to finish it and then stop.
There it is.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Showing off a little bit there, Siege. Right on, brother. 36 to 16, so a 20-shot deficit now. And now the long game where Obscured has to figure out how do they get bottom bell tower back? How do they get back into this video game? And perhaps the scariest part of all of this is there is still one more triple altar phase, and I believe it's going to be next.
Yeah, and if they get one of these sappers in or get boss, that triple altar is actually a win condition.
Which is pretty wild. Yeah, it's a triple altar phase, 5 shots apiece plus boss. All right, so that would easily end the video game. In fact, even if Obscured were to get back bottom, win condition is still available. Okay, this is a change that some people might not know about. Stukov Silence no longer prevents Pumpkin Sappers from doing core damage.
We saw it right there. Yeah, all 3 shots went in, and I think that was just a case of Obscure just not knowing that, because he had the silence there on point, but they just marched right through it.
Everything brings, every little movement here on the map, every moment, every shot, every merc brings Divine 9 closer to closing this series out. Here is the triple altar phase.
I mean, they
have 2 easily. Did they even need to be aggressive about the third? Or did they just take 2 and just sit back and just say, all right, this is just about over?
Yeah, if I'm Divine 9, I don't get crazy here. If you're Obscured, however, your same talent tier, you have to draw a line in the sand at some point. I think they have to get aggressive on these.
And Ansansin is going in as Siege on that Sonya was looking for the channel, but the Leoric winds up coming through there. So bottom has been converted. It looks like Mumo on the ETC is going to go ahead and pick up that side. Is he just going to use Stage Dive here to force a team fight? No, mounting up. Here comes the ETC. Nope, Stage Dive comes out. Leoric looking to dodge a little bit of damage here. Keep an eye on the March of the Black King going through. The choke point is set with the Stukov Silence there. Ring of Frost actually doesn't hit anybody, but the Blessed Shield comes out. I got stitches on the person there from the Jaina. Phantoms is poking Garandov. The team's trading cooldowns there. Siege is the deepest right now, but Genji goes ahead, picks up the kill onto the ETC, and the double reset comp is flying. Sonya will go down, but Jaina is there. Phantoms is chasing down Stukov. Massive Shove comes out, but Jason converts the kill with Wave of Force. And Divine 9 is going to pick up another 5 shots. They pick up 3 kills to 1. Why not? It's only Leo Hanzo.
I really didn't like Divine 9's positioning in the middle to start that fight. They were kind of split out, but the Stage Dive didn't really get on anybody to isolate them out. They didn't. They didn't seem to be on the same page with that engagement, despite the better positioning by Obscured.
I like the play that Obscured made. They found a choke point. They identified it. They were going for the Hail Mary play, but Divine 9 just outsmarted them a little bit there. Boss ends an uneventful Game 3, but a hell of an interesting series. and listen, before we start, going on and singing the plaudits of Divine Nine, I think we really do have to take a minute here to give a shout out to Obscured. This is a team that was the 5 seed coming into playoffs. They go through subject to change, and they are the team that beat Team Showboat, the lone remaining number 1 seed here in Div B. Their run was exciting, inspired. They played some really wild comps. They took a great game 1 off of D9 here. I really do think that they can hang their heads on a great playoff run.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. They kind of flew under the radar a little bit despite their solid season. Although Div B West was really competitive, I think the kind of general consensus was there was a little bit of a big 3 in Showboat and Roll 1.
Yes.
And
Divine Nine.
I mean, yeah. And it was Obscured that took out Team Showboat in a pretty big upset. And how they did it too was so fun with these kind of unusual, off the wall, not really meta, kind of doing their own thing, really catching their opponents off guard and capitalizing on it, as we saw in game 1 here. I'm sure Jason would agree.
Oh, I do.
I do. Well, brother, I have now casted all 3 sets of Divine Nine here in the playoffs. This one certainly had a lot of different things going on.
Yeah,
Jason,
indeed.
What say you about what Obscured was looking to do in this set?
Well, they came out and exactly what they said they wanted to do in the intro, which was obscure us, and they did. That first one, the Shogal, the Samuro, and I don't know, man. We just were not ready for that.
That was the most frustrated I have seen your team play all season. I mean,
yeah.
that was the worst I've seen Divine Nine play. That was a really well played Samuro Cho'Gall comp.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, that's kind of what I was alluding to when I talked about how they're just not a team that does a lot of meta and straightforward gameplay, and that's
right.
A legitimate play style. I'm not knocking it, but it's not very much fun to play against, and it's not easy to prepare for. And like for me personally, I'd rather play a more standard game and play
right.
chess against the master, and that's for me that's more fun and hence the double Cho'Gall ban in games 2 and 3.
So all right, game 1 they throw you off. I guess they really did kind of hide the Cho'Gall. We were not expecting it. We thought it could have been a possibility, but you guys bounced back in game number 2. Talk about the adjustment from game 1 to game 2. We talked about a few things we would have liked to have seen you guys done in draft. I mean, what are comms going on, between those 2 games? How do you guys reset?
Yeah, we were very still upbeat, I feel like, afterwards. I got to give a lot of credit to Rabid and to Phantoms, because that is a moment where you can start to feel your season slipping away, and just in general, again, it's frustrating to try so hard to play into a comp like that and just not have anything be effective. But we reset, we got back into game 2, we played our game for the next 2 series, and I felt like everything clicked for us and we were able to pull it out.
All right. Mongoose, questions about those first 2 games? We had a lot to say before we even get to game 3.
And I imagine you guys were kind of similar to our mindset, which is, well, I don't really know what happened, didn't see that coming, but I don't think we're going to see it again. You guys had the power to ensure we didn't see it again with the Cho'Gall bans. But they still were a little bit unusual, non-traditional with their game 2 comp. It looked from our end like there was a conscious decision to leave your backline flexible. Was that the case? Was that a conscious move you guys made in your drafting strategy?
Yeah, for sure. We definitely wanted to keep that flexible, and we wanted also to be able to account for whatever might come in the back half. We had first pick through the entire series, which has, of course, some awesome advantages
Mm-hmm.
in the first half, but it doesn't really give you a whole lot to work off of in terms of flexing in the back half. So if they do pull out some odd things, we did see this Zeratul in game 2, and so I was glad that I hadn't picked my hero yet, because if I had gone with a more traditional mage against the Zeratul, that doesn't do nearly as well as the Lunara does. So I felt like that was one of the strengths of our drafting in the back half of the series.
So they banned out Battlefield in the pregame, which I thought was a really wise ban. If you want to play some of these different comps, you actually want larger maps you can kind of push and pull people around. Did you guys have any thought to maybe going for a map pick? I thought Tomb might have been in your ballpark. I thought maybe you wanted to go somewhere that you felt might have been cheese-proof.
It really comes down to team for team, whether or not we want the first pick or map pick. But I think in this case, we did want the first pick for the entire series. So we were happy to do that. And in general, we're not really afraid to play on any map. We always also have a map ban. So if we feel like, the opponent has a really good map, we can just ban that out. And then we feel comfortable again on pretty much any map in the game. So I would say that, we favor first pick, but, I wouldn't be surprised if we change it up down the road.
Interesting. Okay. Mongoose, anything else for yourself?
Yeah, speaking for El Professor here as well as myself, I think we were both on the same page at the end of the draft in game 3. We both kind of felt like they really drafted right into your wheelhouse. Were you guys kind of on that same wavelength at the end of that game 3 draft?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, we saw the double range, which we know is very, very off base of what they normally play. And we felt really confident going into game 3 because we felt like they had started to play our game, and anybody who's in any fathom of competitive Heroes of the Storm will tell you that when you get the enemy playing your game, that is the greatest victory and the biggest advantage you can have going into one of these.
Well spoken. No, I 100% agree with that. It really looks like Obscure just kind of ran out of steam there at the end of that fantastic season. So I've talked to you a bunch about actually a few members of your team. I actually wanted to ask you while I got you, because I don't know if I'm going to have you in the final, brother. Talk to me about Rabid Penguin, who is your drafter, shot caller, and strategist. I haven't given a shout out to Penguin yet.
Yeah. He's definitely one of my best friends in Heroes of the Storm for sure. I've played more games with Rabid than anybody else in this game. He was part of the original Divine Nine when we started it 2 years ago before we kind of went through the transition phases. So having him back this season was just a blessing for me and just a comfort to have him back at shot calling and, draft lead and putting our comps together. He really is the heart and soul of the team in terms of when we get into the game and, who is in control and in the driver's seat when we do this. Everybody contributes, but Rabbit is the one steering the wheel for sure.
All right, right on. That does it for me. Mongoose, anything else for yourself?
No, just congratulations, man. It's been really happy to watch kind of the division as a whole participate. Bias, of course, but I think it's been the most competitive, entertaining division to watch. Div B West has been, I think there was only 1-2-0 in our playoffs, maybe 2. It's been really good.
It's been lit. This has been a lot of fun. This set of playoffs has been great.
So good luck, and definitely take it home for the Div B West. Don't let those Div B Easters feel like they know what's going on,
Nice and sour. I like it. Throw that shade out there. Jason, your turn for shout-outs, sir.
Well, first of all, I want to shout out Obscured. I feel like they played very well throughout the whole season. I felt like they were one of the more underrated teams throughout the entire season, and they played a great game, and I really appreciate the competition, and I look forward to hopefully playing them again sometime in the future. But, I would be remiss, of course, if I didn't shout out my team. Phantoms making all the plays. I would. Phantoms making all the plays all season long. Judgebred saving us with all those ults. You just can't say enough about how good he is at the healer position. And Siege definitely for coming in late into the season, joining up with us, and spinning and winning us through the playoffs. It's been awesome playing with him. And then, Rabbit, of course, at the helm.
Right on.
He is awesome. Thanks to NGS. Thanks to you guys for casting. And look forward to seeing who comes out from Gilly Shark and Hodis later on this week.
That'll be a good
Tomorrow
one.
night, actually.
That'll be a good one, Jason. All right, maybe we'll catch you in the grand finals, sir.
I sure hope so.
Best of luck.
Later.
All right. So that does it for our bit of the show. Mongoose, I don't think it's a stretch to say that Divine Nine is going to be favored no matter who they are playing against in the finals.
Well, of course, they're favored in my heart, so that means they're favored.
Oh. It's been a wild playoffs across NGS, but just again, this has been super interesting here in Div B. So in the finals in the West, we had the 3 versus the 5. In the East, it's what is it, the 5 versus the 8, I believe.
Yeah, and actually, I have scrimmed both of those teams. We have been
Right on.
in the playoffs. My team, even though we didn't make the playoffs, have actually been scrimming a number of Div B teams who are still in, kind of helping them prep, as best we can.
Yep.
And both of them are really good. We only had the pleasure of skimming Gilly Shark once. They were good, and they have some kind of different things up their sleeve. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yes.
Heroes a little bit more straightforward, but maybe a little bit stronger standard. We've scrimmed them more, so we're more familiar with them, but they're really solid.
They are. I've actually had an opportunity to have both of those teams at different points. Again, that will be the B East final, and I'm taking a peek at the schedule right now. I believe that's tomorrow night. It is.
All of them are tomorrow night, Bobo. They're all tomorrow night.
6 games tomorrow night. Holy heck. NGS, just get it out of the way. So I actually do have a cast. I have the 2+2 versus TNC semifinal there in the Heroic Div, but we have games at 6, 6:30, and 7. If you are following Division B, the B East final, Gilly Shark versus the Heroes of the United States, is tomorrow, and the man, the myth, the wizard, Baja will have that bad boy. And Mongoose, I just want to say special thanks, man. It was a privilege having you for 2 sets actually here in the B playoffs. Your expertise has been noteworthy and much appreciated, sir.
Well, thanks for having me. Lecture Hall is always fun. Love my division. It's nice being that guy that didn't make the playoffs, so you get to talk about the guys that did.
It's good. Should have thrown a little bit more shade out there just to get it out there. All right, guys. So that is going to do it for us. Let's make sure. Hey, there we go. We'll get our little away slide going out. I'm actually, as soon as the stream ends and tunes down here, we're going to throw it over to Linehouse. Linehouse, one of our writers, hopefully will be contributing to the podcast soon. But he's playing some HOTS games, and he's on the Nexus Gaming Series community, so we are going to throw it over to him. If you are looking for the next Bobo cast, you don't really have to follow Twitter or YouTube because it's tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Once again, I have team name change going up against 2+2, the Heroic Div semifinals. Mongoose, once again, thank you, man. Shout-outs for you before we get out of here?
Well, you mentioned Linehouse. We'll give a shout-out to him. Another Div B Wester, by the way. He's a great co-caster, good dude, so happy to throw it over to him. But, Twitch, Twitter, Mongoose_22 on Twitch, Mongoose__, 2 of them on Twitter.
Scores.
Yeah, there's some imposters out there, so we got to add an extra one.
Before you leave, throw your Twitch out in chat. Throw Mongoose a follow. We're really happy to have him here in the NGS fam, and certainly looking forward to seeing you play Endcast in Season 5.
I'll be here.
Right on. All right, once again, that does it for us. A congratulations as Divine Nine claims the B West final here at NGS. The Season 4 playoffs are coming to a close, but plenty of action, guys. Join us tomorrow night. Again, 6 games on the docket. Get a bunch of tabs open, Twitch Multiview. Have yourself a good time, and we will see you once again here in the lecture hall.